Okay, for today's video, we're just going to go over all the fish related stuff that I picked up since like a little before Christmas. So like I, I was going to title this like the Christmas fishing haul stuff, but also pretty much all the stuff I've really like picked up since I've really gotten back into fishing in the last few months, I'd say month or two really. But and I will say we haven't done any fishing recently. The weather has just been crazy in Kentucky, and I'm sure in a lot of places around here. So if you know, you know. And I will say a lot of this stuff is probably primarily bass fishing stuff, since I mean in Kentucky and where I live, that's just a lot of the fishing that just you do around here, I feel like. And then there is some multi-species stuff. Um, but yeah, that's it for the most part. So we'll kind of just go chronologically. We'll do the first half. We'll just go over all the fishing stuff. And if I didn't mention, like, it's going to range. If I didn't say this already, Dick's, Bass Pro, Cabela's, Walmart, Academy, the Guggen Squad website, a bunch of different places. And then the second half will be kind of my more like miscellaneous items, like just a bunch of other random stuff. So if you want to see that stuff, we'll talk about it there. But the first half is going to be like the pure like fishing stuff, like lures, line, that type of stuff. So yeah, let's just get right into it now. Okay, the first things we had were things I picked up at the Bass Pro Shop, the one specifically near Nashville, Tennessee, like Opry Mills area. Yeah, I got 5 things there, and these were like the first fishing things I got in like maybe a year. You accumulate so much stuff that I've just kind of got to a point where I was just replacing what I had. But I decided to pick up a few things, and like I said, this was the first stuff I really bought. And some of this, and just kind of led into me wanting more stuff. You know how fishing stuff goes. You buy a few things, then just want to get more. But yeah, let's show off the 4 things we got. Well, 5. There's one thing not on the table that I'm going to show off at the end, but well, these go together. So first thing is this little Rapala lipless crankbait. This is like a shad color, silvery look. Have used one of these before. I honestly think I might have used one that was even smaller than this. But I really like these. They catch smaller bass, and I mean I know not everybody loves catching like dink bass, I guess. But I personally enjoy catching smaller bass and like bigger bluegill and stuff. So like a lure like this is kind of perfect for that type of situation. And then in the same size range, well, this one's actually a little smaller. This is more in the size range that I think the old one of these I had was. Because I had one of these for years that was a smaller size, but it got hung somewhere, and I just hadn't replaced it. So I wanted to get something similar. And like I said, I think this one might have been a little bigger than the one I had. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it was this size. I don't know. But it was this same color scheme, maybe a slightly off size. But this one, I got a Fire Tiger. I know this is more like a old school color, but dirty water, little small lure. I think that'd be fun to throw around in some ponds and stuff, and other lakes. And then these 2 things go perfectly together. I got some little jig heads, and then I got some little tiny Kitex. Really like Kitech. I mean, I've used these a ton. For like when I did tournament fishing, we would use, not these ones, I would use the bigger ones, but I thought these little 3-inch ones, kind of in these range, would be perfect for like little pond fishing and stuff, and like bank lake fishing. Just a fun little lure to kind of throw. These would be more lake fishing actually, because most of the ponds I fish don't have like shad, minnow type fish, but still I thought these would be fun to just throw around. And I mean, as you can see, a lot of the lures, at least in this segment, I do love throwing like these smaller lures, like smaller bass lures, where you're going to catch bass, but you also can catch like bigger bluegill and stuff. I just think that's fun, like a fun multi-species but mainly bass lure. And then the one other thing I picked up, and this is something that I've had similar stuff too, but I finally just wanted to get another one of. I'll just lay this out on the table and show it. But yeah, I got a backpack. I got like just a fishing backpack. I mean, it's nothing special. I literally, when we were in Bass Pro, I was like, they'll probably have something exactly like what I'm looking for, and they did. I think this was literally like 15 bucks. It's got 2 big pockets, and obviously, I mean, it's a backpack. But yeah, I wanted something like this, just something fun, easy, that I can just do some bank fishing with. Because normally I would just bring like one of those like strap tackle boxes, or I'd bring like one of those like drawstring bags. But I thought this would be perfect. I've got pockets where I can just put like pliers here, just soft plastics here, put a tackle box or something in the middle. I thought this would just be perfect for just perfect little pond fishing, so I don't have to carry around a tackle box everywhere, and I can just keep this on my back or whatever. So yeah, did get a good little backpack. Yeah, I'll pull up the receipt, because I know some of this stuff was on sale. Yeah, the backpack was $14.99. The jig heads were $8. That actually seems kind of high for those. The Kitex were like $5.49. The Yozuri little crankbait. This one was actually on sale, but it was on sale and was for $6. Yeah, honestly, might shouldn't have got that one. And then the little Rapala Rip and Wrap shad was about $8. Probably wouldn't have bought that one if I hadn't already used one of those and really liked it. But yeah, now we'll move on to the next little set of stuff. Okay, next up, I might be going out of date on these. I don't think anybody really cares, but yeah, because all this was in like the last month or two. But the next thing I got 2 of these power bait Minotaurs, whatever. They're 2 little Berkeley swim baits, and I thought that these looked awesome. I mean, these literally look like little dace minnows and stuff that are in the creek behind my house. I mean, like to a T. So I thought these were beautiful looking. And then the other one I got, I think these are like supposed to be like a bluegill color. I mean, obviously not like shaped exactly like a bluegill, but I thought these ones would be better for like lakes and stuff, because I mean they literally look like the dace minnows and stuff that you see swimming and stuff, and especially like creek fishing. Oh my gosh, I bet these would be killer for like little smallmouth in a creek or something. But these ones were more like my pond ones, because I mean I fish a lot of ponds that like have just bass bluegill. So they're shaped more like a little bass. I mean, not exactly obviously, but shaped more like a bass, but have the bluegill color. I mean, I think it would work pretty well in a pond. I thought these were really good looking. How much were these? This thing says, oh wait, I think they were like $8. Yeah, because I paid $6, but I had like a $10 off thing. So yeah, they were like $8 each. A little expensive for 2 swim baits, but yeah, like $4 a piece. Yeah, that seems a little high, but I'm assuming these are a little higher quality, and I mean, they just look amazing. I mean, yeah. I mean, they function pretty similarly to those little Kitex I was using, except these just look amazing. And like I said, these will probably be more my creek pond or my creek river deal, or if there's a pond that has minnows, and then these will probably be more my pond, just because, yeah, I mean, they're a bluegill color, I believe. Yeah, HD bluegill. Yeah, so I did want to show, I did think these look amazing. I might do a whole video just using both of these in the future. Definitely would, like I said, would love to try these. I think especially, I bought these ones more as my like lake minnow, and these ones more as like the pond one, but I think these in a river or creek, like a creek that has like bass and bluegill, could be awesome. Okay, next up at that same Dick's, but this was on January 2nd. We picked up these little eagle claw bait holder hooks. These were the little tiny ones we used in that first micro fishing video. I love, like, as you all can tell, I love fishing for smaller fish too. I mean, I definitely do a lot of like just pure bass fishing, but I love going to a creek or pond and just throwing some smaller lures and just trying to catch stuff. And speaking on that, we picked up some of these Guggen baits, but these are the crappie series. And they're Pro Blue Red. I've used Pro Blue Shiner, and I'm thinking like Kitex and really liked it, but Pro Blue Red, the snacky swimmer that's 2 inches. And then to pair with that, I just bought some Eagle Claw laser sharp jig head hooks. I mean, these with these, I mean, they just pair so well together. And I mean, these also work for like crappie jigs and stuff. And what's funny is I buy, not a ton of, but I buy a little bit of like crappie like style baits like these, but I don't really catch many crappie on them. I think it's just because mainly I fish a lot of ponds that don't have crappie, and the lakes. It's funny, I'll catch more. I've caught probably more crappie in my lifetime bass fishing, like throwing like a Cinco or like a trick worm or a finesse worm from Zoom, than I probably have throwing like actual crappie jigs, which is kind of funny. But yeah, almost every time I throw crappie jigs, it's in a pond that either doesn't have many crappie or I just don't catch one, and I catch like bigger bluegill and smaller bass on stuff like this. But then, like I said, the crappie I've caught have actually been on like bass stuff, or like just a worm or whatever. But yeah, so that's what I got. So we got bait holder hooks that are designed to catch fish about the size of these saucy swimmers. So yeah, or snacky swimmers. But yeah, that's what we got at Dick's. And then that same day, I'm pretty sure, since it's right beside me, I'll just grab it. We picked up some stuff from Cabela's. Oh, and speaking of Cabela's, while I'm thinking about it, while I was at that Cabela's and the Nashville Bass Pro, I did video and take pictures of the fish tanks, just because, I mean, who doesn't like looking at the fish tanks? So I'll show those at the end of the video if you all want to see them. I always like looking at those tanks and stuff and seeing what kind of fish they have. So I'll just show them at the end of the video. But at that Cabela's Bass Pro, and I did for Christmas, I forgot to mention, I did get a Bass Pro like $25 gift card. So I knew the second I got that, the next time I was at Cabela's, I would be spending that, or at Bass Pro. But Cabela's is way closer to me. This was from the Cabela's in Lexington. So yeah, December, what was this? I mean, no, not December. January 2nd. So this was the same day I bought the stuff you all saw at Dick's. I'm pretty sure I got this after. Yeah, I'm almost positive. Doesn't really matter too much. But yeah, let's just pull out random stuff. Okay, first thing. This is a lure I have a lot of like love and nostalgia for. The Bass Pro Shop Tourney Special Minnow. I mean, the Bass Pro Tourney Special stuff, you can catch fish on these, but I mean, obviously they're not like stuff I would probably throw at like mini tournaments or anything. But this specific lure I have a lot of love for because the first and only ever muskie I ever caught was on one of these. What's funny is I was fishing it, and a leaf actually got hung on this back treble and kind of made it act more like a topwater than it's supposed to. Because I don't know really if this is supposed to behave like a jerk bait or like a longer crankbait almost, but I was reeling it in like a crankbait, and it happened to get hung with a leaf on the back tail, and that's when a muskie came up and took it. Yeah, one of my favorite fishing memories ever, and it's the only muskie I've ever caught, so it's probably going to be a memory I have for a very long time. Okay. Okay, next up, okay, just some Ned Rig jig heads. These are 10th ounce, I mean, I love throwing Ned Rig jig heads on stuff. What's funny is I actually love throwing these more with a specific bait that I think we're going to show off later in this video, but it's not, I don't use it specifically as a Ned Rig bait. I use it almost more like what I use like the crappie jig heads for, where it's more just weight for the specific lure that I throw, because I prefer throwing it with one of these compared to like Texas rigging, what it is. And especially because the size I use it. And that is a lure that actually I think my last tournament bass I ever caught, like last high school tournament bass I ever caught was on, I'm just going to say it before I forget about it. But yeah, it's actually on the little Zoom 4-inch lizards. I love throwing those things. So I've caught a ton of pond bass on them. Because I mean, salamanders and lizards, you know, that fall into the water, bass will eat them. And then what I did, my last ever tournament, it was, I can't even remember for sure which lake it was, but it's not Green River. Or no, it was Green. If you fished in Kentucky, it was Green River. And our tournament would almost always be right when the bass were on beds. There weren't as many on beds though that year, but the one bass we did get on a bed, I caught on a 4-inch Zoom lizard with some sort of Ned Rig jig head, just throwing it on its bed. And my partner, he had like a larger lizard, but he didn't have any of the 4-inch ones. And the 4-inch ones were actually the ones that the fish were going for. I guess that's more like the ones that would go after the whatever, or just that bass really did not like it. But for what, that was one of my favorite baits. But I think I bought one of those that you all will see later in this video. Oh, speaking of Ned Rigs, this ain't the same one, but I mean, this ain't lizards, but I did buy some of these Ned Rig crawls. I've bought either these or something similar, and but I've not done great with them before, or haven't used. Maybe I bought the Yum ones. I bought something similar to these though, and I wanted to try more of these because I feel like these should work almost even better than the regular Ned Rig. But maybe I don't know. I don't know what the deal is, but I would definitely think these should work great. So I want to try throwing some of these more. I didn't realize at the time when I bought these though that they have like a more silvery looking bottom, so I don't know how that will work, but I love the top half color, so we'll try these out at some point. I do really want to try these. And these also, speaking about, I really want to do some creek smallmouth fishing. That's something, I've fished in some like creeks and rivers that I know have smallmouth, but most of the time when we would go for those places, I was fishing for muskie. So I want to try like some different spots in the river, or try those same spots to try to catch some smallmouth. Because I mean, I tried to catch bass while we were doing it, but I spent most of my time trying to catch muskie. So I want to try some more like smallmouth creek fishing. So yeah, pick those up. The Bass Pro $25 gift card that I got for Christmas that is unfortunately gone. Okay, Ganesh Shroom jig heads, TRD crawls, turning minnow. Okay, and then the last two things I bought. So these were something I kind of planned on getting a different version of, but ended up getting these, and we'll just show them off. Okay, so these are a lot bigger than any other lure you all have seen yet. These are about the size, these lures are about the size of some of the fish we'd be catching with some of the other lures we were throwing. But the Bass Pro Shop XPS glide bait, and this is in the bone color, I believe. I don't know why I said gill. I guess because I've been looking at other lures, but I think this is in the bone color. I don't see it on the box anywhere now, but Oh yeah, bone right there. Okay, so that's the bone colored one, and then the other one I bought is in this rainbow trout color. Yeah, rainbow trout. Okay, I mean I know that's a rainbow trout style bait, but what I plan on buying was actually, so I've been wanting to get into glide baits. Just throwing that out there before we, and this one was open, so I'll pull it out. But I've been wanting to get into glide baits, and I mean, truth is, and I'm sure a lot of people that throw glide baits know, they are not cheap at all. Glide baits are really expensive, really stinking expensive. And these ones were, I mean, these are the Bass Pro Shop brand ones, and they were almost $20. So, I mean, that should show you something alone. Where's that receipt I had? They were $16.99 a piece. But I wanted to get the River to Sea, I believe, S-Waver, which, I mean, I think these are pretty much based off them. But, and honestly, what stinks too is the River to Sea S-Wavers are not much more expensive than these. I think they're really within the same price range. The only thing is the Dicks, the Cabela's, both of those I went to didn't have any River to Sea S-Wavers. So, and I shouldn't have done it, but I just decided to just buy these ones anyways. But I will say I absolutely love how these look. And actually, I'm kind of glad I did get the rainbow trout one, because I will say I used to have one of these Bass Pro Shop glide baits, like Boss Glides or whatever they are. But the one I bought before was not the Bass Pro Shop XPS brand. It was, or if it was not, it was definitely not in this style packaging. But I did have the rainbow trout one, and I thought this would be awesome because for a few reasons. Some lakes near me have rainbow trout, and they're like, I have a deeper, colder water lake near me that I've not done very well on. It's actually like the closest lake to me, but they do stock trout, I believe, rainbow trout. So I heard, whenever I was literally talking to the guy that was working there, and the lake's Laurel Lake. I believe like it was a filled-in lake. I'm pretty positive about that actually, and like it's a very deep lake. We've got like 2 lakes in Laurel County that like I've fished a decent bit. Woods Creek or Wood Creek. I think it's Woods Creek. At least that's what I've called it. And then Laurel Lake, and there are very different lakes. Woods Creek's like a shallow lake with a lot of like vegetation and stuff. And then Laurel Lake is a super deep lake. And that's the one where the trout and stuff and Lake Cumberland's really close to. Both of those, I believe, get stocked with rainbow trout. So I thought a rainbow trout glide bait would be awesome. And I did have one of these, but it wasn't at least in this style box. And I will say, I think these boxes look awesome. But I mean, that's not a big deal. But I threw one of those, and I got it hung or something one day, and I needed to replace it anyways. So I finally got this one in the XPS, and then I got this bone one. At first, I only had the rainbow trout, and literally as I was going to check out, I was like, let's go back and get it. And then what's funny is by the time I came back and there was only one checkout line, and the line built up, and like there was barely anybody in line when I first went to pay. But I decided to get this one. This bone one, I just think looks awesome. Yeah, that looks so good to me. I think this one for muskie could be really good in that creek that I've talked about, or river, creek, whatever, that I've caught that one muskie out of. I think this could work awesome. And the rainbow trout one could work too there. But I thought this would be really good. And then I think this could honestly maybe work in some ponds, just because that white color, maybe if it's like a dirtier pond, it just might stick out. Maybe they'll just think it's a small bass or something. I don't know. I thought this color looked awesome though, and I wanted to try it out. So yeah, we got both of these glide baits, and like I said, maybe if they had the S-Wavers, I probably would have bought them, but between shipping that I would have had to pay, I mean, I probably could have got free shipping, but from somewhere, whatever, I'm pretty happy with them all in all. But like I said, if they had the S-Wavers, I probably would have just bought them. But I did really want to try these out, and I think the worker there said that these actually worked pretty well. They recommended at first to try the it wasn't the Jack Gantrell. It was either the Mike Bucas or the Jack Gantrell. It was something like that. They had one of those in stock, and they recommended those. And I said, I would like to get those, but they're a little on the high end. I was thinking more like that price range. And they said, well, I think these actually work. And they had another worker. I don't know. I mean, maybe they just told me that just to sell them, but still, I'd only planned on buying one at first, but I did end up getting both of these. And yeah, that's my we've talked way too long about these glide baits and stuff. So yeah, we'll move on now. Okay, I know I said I was done talking about the glide baits, but I did want to mention one other thing really quick with them. Yeah, if I didn't mention, the worker literally specifically said if, whenever I talked about, I kind of like the rainbow trout one, he said, yeah, if you were near a lake like Laurel Lake or something, like they said, like if you could throw one of those at like something like Laurel, and I said, oh well, that's actually my local lake or something. It was something like that, and that's why I kind of one of the other reasons I decided on this one. But like I said, I also have some other plans for this one because there's some like rivers and stuff that I think might have rainbow trout that I could fish. But yeah, I've still not caught a trout, but we're gonna try to maybe catch a bass or a muskie on one of these. But yeah, and if I didn't make this clear enough, I plan on throwing these for muskie and just really big bass. So honestly, these in like that river system that I fish that has muskie and bass, I really think could be too fun. And yeah, like I said, it'd be like a 2 birds in 1 stone. We might catch a monster smallmouth or a muskie on one of these, so that would be super fun. So yeah, that's something we could definitely try in the future. Okay, next up we got Old Great Walmart. Yeah, Walmart. Okay, well, Walmart, let's see when I bought this stuff. I think it was a couple days at least. Yeah, okay, so it was the 4th. So 2 days after the stuff you all have seen, or like the Bass Pro stuff. So yeah, let's just pull stuff out. Okay. Oh, first thing. I just bought one of these Eagle Claw Bass Assortment hook kits. Yeah, I mean, I know that there's probably better hooks, but, you know, it's just a fun variety. And a lot of these are like the types of hooks I would use at places for bass. Like I could use these for Cincos, these for like Texas rigs and stuff. So I decided to buy these. I mean, I'm sure there's probably other stuff, but like for the price, I think these were a really good deal. Yeah, these were only $6.74. And another funny thing that I didn't realize till after I bought them, there is 67 hooks. I mean, yeah, the joke writes itself. But one thing that is funny, I will say, after buying these, I actually went to, a lot of my fishing stuff's in the basement right now because we've been rearranging stuff, and that's like where my John boat and stuff's at, and like where my fish tank, all that stuff's in like one room. Actually, when I was going through my tackle box after I bought this stuff, I realized I literally had one of these that I'd like the last time I went fishing and bought one of. So got 2 of these, but I mean, like I said, these are awesome. I mean, you can never have too many hooks, really. And then the other stuff we got, oh yeah, some little Zoom 4-inch lizards. These are the watermelon seed. I've tried other colors. I've tried like some small brown colors. Maybe like a, what's another green? What's a green pumpkin? Maybe some, I think watermelon and like whatever that slightly brown color is have been two of my best. Watermelon seed definitely works great though. So, and like I said, I've already talked about those in that last bit when I was talking about the Ned rig heads, but those for pond fishing are awesome. And throwing for bed bass, just it's something different that they don't always see because it's different from a jig, but they're just fun to throw and they work. And then we got some more Ned rig jig heads. These are a heavier one. These are a 1/5 of an ounce one. And I think these ones were actually cheaper than what I paid at Bass Pro or Cabela's. And they were $4.32. Maybe not cheaper, but still. These are a heavier weight too, so they're different enough. Oh, and then we've got 2 more lures, and these were literally $1.24. And I honestly am so excited about these. I can't wait to throw both of these. Well, let's just throw them both. They're from the same company. These little cream King of Baits, little tiny, like, I guess it's a little tiny square bill or a little tiny, maybe not a square, but a little tiny billed crankbait that's like a little largemouth color. This, I think, will be too fun in ponds for bluegill and bass. And then this little tiny lipless crankbait. They had a few more style. There was one like little minnow style bait, but I thought, I've got something kind of similar to that anyways, and just not really something I'm looking for. And then they had a little tiny crawl one. And what's funny is actually, like a couple days after I bought that, I watched a video. I think it was Fishing with Tate. And it wasn't him that used it, but it was, I can't think of his name. It's the guy that fishes with him. Not Zach, but the other guy. The other guy that fishes with him that's not Zach. If I can find that video, I'll put a link to it. But he actually, and this was after I bought these, note. It was like, maybe, I think it might have literally been that day or like the next day after I bought these. I watched a video of him, and he used one of these, but it was the little crawl one. And that's where he caught some creek smallmouth, which is another reason I was like, oh, I really want to try that. But he caught a ton of little creek smallmouth on something like this. Yeah, so I wanted to really buy some of these. And, well, I'd already bought these. I actually want to get the crawfish one. And this might be more in that size range of that Rapala that I was talking about, that I kind of thought I might have got the wrong size one. Maybe something in between those two, but yeah. Little tiny loopless and a little tiny crankbait. For $1.24, I can't wait to throw these. I'm not going to lie. I think these are going to be awesome. And these Man's Bait, I've seen like, these are Cream, maybe it's, whatever, Cream. I think they're the ones that make like a worm lure that looks like a real actual earthworm. But yeah, really wanted to try these out once again. I just think they're going to be so fun to throw. I'm literally thinking maybe do a challenge where we throw like, I'm going to call it like micro bass fishing, where we just use like a bunch of lures that are for bass, but like smaller size variant ones like these. But yeah, let's move on to the next stuff. Okay, I have to stop for 1 second. My cat was wanting in. He went and did something else after I went and messed with him, though. But I did just want to show off the size difference in some of the baits we'll be throwing on this channel. I mean, literally, this bait is the size of, like, you're expecting to catch fish about the size of this lure with this. So that's just going to show you, like, the variety. And, I mean, obviously, I know if somebody, like, fishes saltwater, they're going to be like, I catch fish, so I don't, like, would eat the fish, that would eat that fish. I don't really care. I'm just, for fresh water, I mean, to be catching, like, the size difference that we can be catching. I mean, from, like, the muskie and flathead and stuff to what will bite this and, like, what will bite those micro hooks will be, I mean, literally, I'm honestly, that is one thing I want to do too, is almost like a food chain challenge. But I'm thinking maybe not use like actual, like baby bluegill or whatever, or minnows. Maybe like catch a little bluegill, use a lure that replicates that bluegill, catch something like a smaller bass with that, and then use a lure almost like this, like that's supposed to replicate the bass, and then try to catch something on that. I think that would be such a fun challenge. Because I've seen people do like food chain challenges, but I'm going to do like the lure equivalent. So yeah, let's just go on to the next thing. Okay, next up we have an order I made from Guggen Baits. This is the only thing like I picked up online, well, at least fishing lure wise. So yeah, let's just show it. Okay, first off, I picked up these. These are the Bandito Bug Juniors, the 3.3 inch, and these are the Watermelon Red Flake. And I got the Junior edition specifically because I've tried the Bandito Bugs. They seem to be the consensus, like, best Guggen Bait lure, at least from what I've seen and my experience with Guggen Bait lures. And obviously, I'm a huge fan of Guggen Baits. I mean, they're one of my biggest inspirations for making this channel. Guys like John B, AP, and all of them. I mean, I was into fishing, but, like, they, like, made me interested in, like, the YouTube side of fishing. So I'm a big fan of Guggen, even if, like, their baits, I know some people are like, what, but I'm a big fan of Guggen, and I do think some of their baits are great. So yeah, the Bandito Bug Junior. Yeah, I honestly thought that maybe throwing these on a Ned rig could be fun. I don't know, a lot of the times lures you would use for a Texas rig, I kind of like just throwing like a smaller equivalent, but on a Ned rig. And probably not the best idea, but I don't know, I just kind of like doing that personally. And I really think like those heavier Ned rigs I got, where are they? Oh, like these with like maybe cut like the head off or something, or like a little part. I guess that, no, that wouldn't be the head because the head's here, but throw one of these on one of these and just like throw it around maybe ponds, or probably a pond would be better Texas rig, but I think that would be a cool idea. So yeah, I picked up some of those Bandito Bug Juniors. Like I said, never thrown the Juniors, but I've thrown the larger ones, and I do really like them. And I think the 3.3s might be a little better for some trailers that I use. Okay, and then we got a bunch of line, actually, because Guggen had a big sale. I don't think the Bandito Bugs were on sale, and if they were, I'm not for sure, but yeah. So Bandito Bug Juniors, and I'll mention the price for all this stuff since I did order these. And then I got one thing of 12-pound mono. Yeah, I haven't bought line in a while, so I figured I probably would need a restock on some line, and this was really cheap line. And then the other line I got 2 sets of 65-pound braid. I've never used braid, but I mean, I've heard so much great things about braid, how strong it is, and like how good it is for like top water and for like jig fishing and stuff. So, you know, and those are 2 areas of fishing that I've just not done very well in. So like, I was like, maybe it's just because I don't use the right line or something. Probably not, probably just my skill. But like, I do better like the swim bait, Cinco, probably because that's easier stuff. And well, I do really like a chatterbait for jigs, I will say. But I do better with that kind of stuff than I do like the jigs and the top waters. I mean, I do good with some top waters, but some like poppers I've just not had as much luck with compared to other people. So I thought maybe, and then I've like looked into stuff obviously and seen braid can be really good. And like I said, I've just never tried braid, and this was really cheap braid, I remember. So yeah. So that's we got 3 things of line, 1 thing of 330 yards of mono, and then 2 125 yards worth of braid, and then the Bandito Bug Juniors. And I'll pull up the prices of those right now. Okay, here are the prices. So $14.38 for 2 sets of braid for that. I mean, for that amount of braid, I mean, even if this is not the best quality braid, that feels like a really good price, because I think that's one of the biggest reasons I haven't used braid is just the price point. So $7 for 2 sets of 125 yards of 65-pound line. Felt like a pretty good deal. The Bandito bugs, I don't think they were on sale actually. Yeah, $6. And then the monofilament, 12 yards of, or 12-pound mono. I normally use between 10 and 12. And I think maybe either the 10 was sold out or I just went 12. I like both sizes. 330 yards of it for $4.49. Can't beat that. I think they were both on sale. I don't know if Guggen's getting like trying to like quit selling line or doing a new line, or maybe, you know, just end of year getting rid of everything. And yeah, I either ordered this or received this on January 5th. One of the two. But yeah, that's what I got from Guggen. Okay, we're closing in on some of the last things. I think we've maybe got like 3 or 4 more things of fishing stuff before we move on to like the miscellaneous stuff I'll talk about. But yeah, one last thing from Dick's. Actually, no, there's another thing we got from Dick's later on. But yeah, this was Dick's at that same Dick's. This is that one close to Lexington, and I got 2 things actually. Okay, one of these, well, actually, I'm thrilled about both of these. I can't wait to try both of these. So first up, this is one thing I've seen at Dick's a bunch of times lately, and every time I see it, I want to buy it. Let's just show it. The 6 Sense Panorama 3.0 swim bait rig. I don't know, but they're the bluegill ones. I really think these might be like one of the best pond lures. I really can't wait to try these at like some local ponds and stuff. I think these might crush at ponds because these panoramas look awesome. I will say the one thing about these I did notice was kind of weird. A lot of the ones I saw at that Dick's at least either had no eyes or like the eyes you could tell were like not attached anymore. So I don't know if the eyes don't have a say on very well. I mean, I don't think that's going to make or break the lure, I will say, but still, I did notice that a lot. But yeah, these just look awesome. I've thrown the little Savage Gear bluegill swim baits a lot. I've thrown those. Those are probably the baits I've thrown the most. That I can't remember if I've not caught many fish on them or just not a ton. But I've loved throwing those. I think they're just fun to throw for one. And these are a lot like those. And I don't know if they sell the ones that I used to throw, those little Savage Gear bluegills anymore. So these are more in that size range. And like I said, I think these will be killer at ponds and stuff. Yeah, like especially like there's a lot of ponds near me that are like smaller, like farm style ponds that literally like there's just bass and bluegill. There's no minnow forage. I mean, there's like going to be occasionally like, you know, crawls and frogs and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's just bass and bluegill. So the bass, you know, in those ponds eat just bluegill or smaller bass. So something like this could be perfect. And, you know, smaller bluegill kind of look a lot like smaller bass. I mean, not identical, but like swimming, going fast. A bass pro isn't going to be like, oh, that's a little bluegill, or oh, that's a little bass. So either way, I think these will be awesome in ponds. Like I said, they look awesome. I've seen these so many times. Like I said, and this is my first 6 Sense bait. But like I said, every time I walk by these, I think, oh, those look so good. They are a little on the pricey side, $9.99, so a little over $3 per swim bait. But that's not awful. And especially, like I said, these just look so good. So can't wait to try them. And then the other thing, I've already talked about this video that I can't wait to do some river fishing for smallmouth, for like smaller smallmouth. And I found a bait that I think is going to be killer for river smallmouth, and that is the Yum Helgramite. I think these on a Ned rig are just going to be killer for smallmouth. And these might work for other situations too, but literally when I saw these, I was like, that is going to be my smallmouth creek bait, because these are going to be perfect. I mean, they're like 3-ish inches, I would say. I could be way off on that. These might be longer than 3 inches. Does it say? I don't see where it says for sure on these, but yeah, Yum baits. I've had a lot of success with like Yum dingers and stuff. I mean, they might be a little less quality than maybe like a Gary Yamamoto, or maybe that's just a name brand of those being like the Yamamoto baits, but I've had a lot of luck with Yum stuff. So, you know, And like, there's another Yum bait that I've done awesome with. I think it's a swim bait called maybe like the Cane Thumper. I don't even know if they still make those, but I used to do awesome with those on a chatterbait. So yeah, can't wait to try these. Like I said, these will be awesome for specifically those smallmouth and stuff in river systems. But sorry, but I think these could also be great, maybe just in ponds and stuff, because they might look like a dragonfly larva or something. I don't know, but. Because I'm not even for. I think Helgramites or maybe damselfly, not damselfly. Not I can't. They're a big weird bug. If I can remember, I might throw it up on screen what they like the adult form is. But yeah, these look pretty similar. And I debated between two colors. These are the like darker top ones with like a red golden, like a orangish red brown bottom. And I thought these would be awesome. They look kind of like a Helgramite actual color. Like the top definitely looks natural and that bottom shine. I thought these could just, like I said, I bought these for a few things, but the number one main reason like I bought these when I saw them was like because they are creek smallmouth. But the other color I remember, I think it was more of a solid like darker color overall, or maybe a slightly less brown, but it was like one solid color and had like gold sparkles or something. But I like this one that was like this dark brown, green, black top color with a more orangey brown bottom and with the like red glitter sparkles at the bottom. So yeah, both of those I was really happy with. Okay, and then the next stuff I bought was from Academy. Trying to make sure. Yeah, I only got 2 things from Academy. I was going to buy 3, which I'm going to have a little ramble about Academy for a second. But first thing, another pond style bait, or at least that's what I plan on using. The H2O Express, which is like, I know it's this is like Academy's brand, but like Bass Pro just says Bass Pro Tourney Series. Academy's brand is H2OX or H2O Express. And I got this little baby bass swim bait. I thought this looked awesome. I've actually had an H2O Express previous swim bait, but I think they discontinued that type of model, but it looked awesome. I can't believe they got rid of that one. But I got this one. I thought this looked awesome. I mean, this is more of a trout style body fish, but I mean, the colors are obviously supposed to be like a little largemouth or something. I mean, the color's baby bass. I swear, I think this might could be a killer in certain ponds that like you're not as worried about getting hung up, but like, or like a little bit more open water. I think this could be a killer. Between this and that little bluegill swim bait, I can't wait to do some more pond fishing soon. Well, I don't know how soon it's going to be with how the weather has been in Kentucky recently. But we got that, and then I got one thing that's so big, probably not even going to fit on screen. I got a new net finally. Let's bring it from this side, actually. So here's how long the handle is. If I go any further, it's going to hit my bookshelf. But yeah, okay, it's got like a length. Okay, so you can see there's a 24-inch sticker right there. So it's over 24 inches for just the pole. It's got like, like a more grippy rubber handle. And then it's got like this type of net material that's like, I don't know exactly what you would call this material, but it's a pretty common fishing net material. But yeah, I bought that. It was only, okay, the price is literally on. We'll show it. It's a huge big net, and it is $16.99. I thought this was an awesome deal. I've been wanting to get a new fishing net for a few reasons. For one, one of the biggest reasons I wanted this is we do some bass fishing in a John boat. So I thought, this would be awesome for, we're in the John boat, somebody's got to reach over, but you can't, at least in our John boat, you don't really want to be standing. So I thought this would be perfect. And then muskie fishing, I mean, we might catch one muskie in this and it shreds this whole thing. I wouldn't be shocked one bit if that happens, but at least it's a sizable net that we can probably hold at least the muskie from that river we fish out of, because I don't think they get as massive as they do in some other places out of that river. And then the one other reason is I thought I could even bring this for some pond fishing and stuff where there's, some of those ponds just, have like a drop off where it's a little hard, to actually reach down and grab the bass. So for situations like that, I thought this could be nice. But mainly, the main 2 reasons, like I said, the first one's the main reason. I bought this for a muskie too, but one of the biggest reasons is for our John boat, because we just don't have a good net for like John boat fishing. So that's why I bought that. Okay, so that's all we bought from Academy. And then the last thing that I was going to buy this at Academy. Academy, I literally tried to give y'all money, but y'all didn't want it. It was this, the Buka brand baby bull shad, the 3.75 inches. I've been wanting to try one of these Buka bull shads for so long, and I finally got one. I got the gizzard shad color. This was the color I actually wanted. But let me have my quick little ramble about what happened. So I've been wanting to get one of these for a while, and I recently discovered on Walmart that the gizzard shad color was like $8.75 or like $9. It was something like 9 something or 8 something. I think it was like $8.75 whenever I bought it. I don't know why that price sticks out so much, but I think these normally run for like 15 to 16 bucks. So whenever or 14, 16, somewhere in that. But whenever I saw it was like under 10 bucks, I was like, oh, I really want to get one. But I didn't want to order it because like I was like, I mean, I know they have these at my local Walmart, or at least it showed they had them at my local Walmart online. So, you know, I just hadn't been in Walmart in a little bit, so I didn't buy it yet. Because I found out about this, I think, shortly after I'd been to Walmart that one day, and I just hadn't been in Walmart in a couple of days. So we went to Lexington, or wherever it was that I bought these. I think it was Lexington, where I got the Academy stuff. And they had one of these in Academy. I was like, oh, I'd love to get this, but I mean, I'm not going to pay extra. And I went on Academy's website. Academy's website says they price match. Okay, you're going to you might be seeing where this is going now. So on Academy's website, it says they price match, but it says, you know, it can't be like, if you know, Walmart.com will sell like stuff from wherever website, but it's on Walmart's website. This, however, was sold, shipped by Walmart, could be picked up in Walmart store. So I was like, oh, perfect, I'll be able to get it. One of the only concerns I had actually was they only had the sale on one color. The other two colors that they had on Walmart's website were not on sale, except this specific color. So I was like, well, that's the color I want anyway, so that's perfect. So then I went in Academy. They had this lure, and I saw the price match thing. I was like, oh, perfect. Because I went online, I was like, they probably don't do price match. But I saw online it said they do price match, but only select retailers and only, like I said, if it's the sold and ship thing. So I went to the front desk, and I was like, hey, do you all price match this? It says on Walmart it's this, and it said on your all's website you all price match. And they were like, let me talk to a manager real quick, or whatever. So the manager comes over, or whatever. And maybe but their website did not make it appear like this. Because it, like I said, it literally said sold if you like matched Amazon and Walmart. I remember two that it said. And you know, because Amazon is completely online, I was like, so the online price should be no issue, right? At least that's what I thought. So then the person looks at it and they say, oh, your location says this place, because I had it, you know, on the Walmart for like closest to my house. And I was like, oh yeah, is that an issue? And they were like, well, see, well, whatever. And I think it was in Lexington. And I clicked on the Lexington Walmart, and there's like 3 Walmarts in Lexington, but none of them had this specific lure. And she said, oh, it's got to be the one right here. And I was like, okay. I mean, I didn't, you know, make a fuss or whatever about it, but I was like, okay, that's interesting. But so yeah, they said they couldn't price match it, even though it was the sold and ship price, the price of a store like an hour away that had it in stock. But because they didn't have it in stock, and I think they actually said they would price match and go like 5% cheaper. I just wanted the same price. I didn't care about getting it any cheaper, but because they didn't have it at the like nearest Walmart or at the Walmart in the same city, they said they wanted price match. And I mean, what were you gonna do? I wasn't gonna argue with them over it. And I mean, I'm not really a super confrontational person with that type of stuff. So yeah, I didn't make no fuss about it or anything, but I did think that was kind of crazy. And like I said, one of the biggest reasons I think that's crazy is it did not specify that online, for one. And two, one of the places they said they would price match is Amazon. There's no Amazon like in-store thing near us. So the Amazon online price, I guess, would have worked, but the Walmart in-store price, even though it was the sold and ship price by Walmart, I don't know. My little ramble over, but I thought that was stupid. So yeah, we ended up I literally, after we walked out of the store, I did a store pickup order at Walmart for it, paid the $8 or whatever instead of the $15 Academy wanted to charge. And like I said, I still just don't understand it. If somebody knows Academy, can explain why, and maybe like, I just didn't go into like the specific details in the description, but I just think that was ridiculous that like the sold and ship price for Walmart wouldn't have worked, even though it said we match Walmart and Amazon, and it didn't specify had to be the nearest Walmart. And like, if it would have been, also, I will say, if it would have been like, whatever with Walmart, like a Walmart in like Alabama instead of Kentucky, maybe that would have been one thing, or what, but it was the sold and ship price. Okay, moving on. I will say, there was one thing though I was concerned about. The shad on Walmart's website was this image one, the gizzard shad one, but for some reason it said rainbow, and I was like, oh crap, is that going to be the issue? But when I did the pickup in store thing, this was the one that my dad picked up for me, so the image was right. So it was nothing to do with the color saying rainbow, and that's not even what she mentioned. It was just the fact that it was the in-store Walmart price. Whatever. If anybody can explain why that was the case, let me know. And maybe it is as simple as it has to be the nearest of a store. But if that is the case, why does the website say we'll price match Amazon? Whatever. And like I was saying, if it was like Walmart website, but like shipped and sold by like whoever, that would have been one thing. But yeah, okay, ramble over about that. But still, I'm so excited to get the Buka Baby Bull shad. I think this lure looks awesome. I've heard so many good things with the Buka brand. I mean, I know people like will pay like hundreds of dollars for like the real ones of these, like not the real one, but you know, like the bigger ones. And these are like the factory made ones, but still, so excited to finally throw one of these. Can't wait to. And if they're that same price on Walmart, still, I would recommend buying these because I mean, $8.75. And I don't know, maybe these mini ones aren't as good or whatever, the baby ones, but yeah, I'm still so excited to throw one of these. And like I said, the sale was only on this specific color though, at least for me. So yeah, moving on to the next lure. I think we've only got one more lure to talk about. Okay, yeah, unless I missed something, we are on the last set of lures you all will see in this video. And I picked these up at a Dick's. This is the Dick's closest to my like college campus at EKU. But we picked these up. These were on sale. They had the lunker logs, the Guggen Baits lunker logs. I've actually not thrown the lunker logs yet. I've thrown obviously a bunch of different Senkos, but I've not thrown the Guggen Baits lunker logs. But these ones were on sale, $3.97 for the, and they're green pumpkin, which is, I mean, green pumpkin. I think you just about can't beat green pumpkin or watermelon for lure colors. So got these. But these are only the 4-inch ones. So I thought these might be fun for smaller ponds and stuff, and you know, maybe almost throw these on a Ned rig. It's like a mega Ned rig type of thing, or maybe just cut them. I mean, I think these will function for a lot of fun things, and you know, just using them just as a regular like a wacky rig Senko will work fine. Just they're a little on the smaller side, but they also had one other size that was on sale. The 6-inch ones, which these are way more in the size of normal Senkos I would use. I'd say I probably use mainly 5 and 6-inch Senkos. So the 4-inch ones are a little on the small side, but these ones are maybe a little on the bigger size for ones I think around 5 or 6 inches is normally what I use. But yeah, so can't wait to try these out. And like I said, they were both $3.97. So I don't know if something's happening with Guggen, if they're getting rid of baits or whatever right now, because like I said, a lot of that line and a lot of lures were on sale, and like maybe it's just like a wholesale thing. But then the fact that Dick's had these on sale, I don't know, was interesting. They had a lot of good lures on sale though, but I only bought the Guggen Bait stuff so far. Yeah, I think that's all the lure stuff. Now we'll get into the random miscellaneous stuff right now. Okay, the first thing we have, I have a huge lot that I picked up on Mercari of Toy Fish Factory figures. This is, like I said, just in that kind of like random stuff area. And I had made a whole video talking about these, so I'll just put like one of those things in the corner here. It's like a channel whatever thing for these. So yeah, if you want to see that video, I'll put that there. And I just go over everything we got. This includes 3 different sets, and there's everything from largemouth bass, smallmouth bass, walleye, muskie, bluegill, striped bass, redfish, snook, all kinds of fun stuff in here, barracuda. So yeah, if you want to see that video, that'll be there. Fun little fish. I like collecting fish figures, if you all don't know. But like I said, I made a whole video on those, so if you want to see those, they're in that video. And then another thing, this was something I got for Christmas. I think I mentioned this in that like channel intro video, but I did get this for Christmas, so I did want to show it. I got this fish mug with pollock, cod, skipjack, tuna, haddock, and then fish I'm more familiar with being some more freshwater style stuff. Perch, carp, rainbow trout, and sprat. I don't know much about sprat. I don't know. I'm thinking these are more European fish, if I had to assume. Because perch I know are in the U.S., but I think they're also in Europe. Rainbow trout, same deal, and carp are definitely, I mean, the carp we have are non-native carp. So yeah, did just want to show this off. I thought this was cool. I remember there was a very similar mug to this that we got my sister. I think it was a cat one. But we saw one of these at a different store, but the one I saw was like really chipped. This one actually does have a little bit of a chip right here on the carp, but nothing like the one had. The one literally had like a big, huge chip, so I didn't get it there. But yeah, did want to show that off. Oh, one thing. I did get this LSU visor. If you know, you know. Well, pretty much, you don't know. Lane Kiffin's recently come to LSU, and he's known for wearing the visor. So I'm a big LSU fan. So if you see me wearing LSU stuff, I know I mentioned I'm from Kentucky, but I'm still a big LSU fan. So yeah, well, you'll probably see me rocking some LSU stuff here and there. So I did get that. Yeah, that was my Christmas present for my sister. So we got that. Trying to think where we should go next. We've only got a few things left I'm going to show off this video. Yeah, okay, let's grab this. Okay, when we were in that, the place that had that Bass Pro in Nashville, they also had a Columbia store, so I got this shirt. I did just want to show this off because there is a really cool fish thing on there. There is a smallmouth on here. I just thought that was really cool, you know, smallmouth in Tennessee. Definitely like the fish I associate with Tennessee smallmouth bass, so got that. Really like that shirt though, but especially with the, like I said, the smallmouth on it. Oh, and one other shirt thing I did want to show off. So I got this from Rally House, the Southeastern Conference SEC Freshwater Trophy Fish shirt. And you know, I'm in Kentucky, so a lot of the stuff's like the blue Kentucky theme stuff. It's actually not a Kentucky shirt though. It's just the one that they sold at our local Rally House, or at least the one closest to me, had the blue one. And I think they sell these in a few other colors, but yeah. But I actually have the old one of this that I knew was different from this one, but I couldn't pinpoint what the difference was. I'll show it. If you can recognize the design, I'll give you a few seconds to try to figure out what it is. But that's what the old one looks like, that I've had for at least a few more years. And then the one I got this year is this one. But the difference is, so if you hadn't guessed it, this is the added new SEC teams. They added, obviously, Texas and Oklahoma. But the thing is why I didn't pick up on that immediately, because I'm a big, like I said, I mean, LSU, I just was talking about. Football is definitely the sport I keep up with the most, but I didn't pick up on the SEC thing because I just, that shirt I hadn't got too long ago, so I just kind of assumed, but maybe I got it on sale or something, or it was like, it had to been like the last year before like the SEC, or like that, it was like clearance because they added the new SEC teams. But yeah, I kind of did want to just briefly mention the fish that are on like the shirt, because some of them are like kind of interesting choices. Missouri striped bass, I mean, not too surprising. Because I don't know a ton about Missouri. Ole Miss with the redfin pickerel. Not a big Ole Miss fan right now, if you know the stuff with LSU. I mean, they're probably more mad at us than anything. So Alabama has the dollar sunfish, parentheses, $1 million. Don't know much about dollar sunfish, just going to be honest. Kentucky with the bluegill, pretty fitting. I love the bluegill here. So in-state bluegill. The Mississippi State is the magnolia crappie, which I don't know if that's a black or white crappie or something else. Channel cat for LSU. I mean, LSU is my favorite team, but I've not fished much in Louisiana. Not really been in Louisiana much. But channel cat, I know, is pretty fitting for the state. Tennessee with the orange spotted sunfish. At first, I thought Tennessee should have a different fish, but honestly, the orange for Tennessee obviously makes sense too. But I honestly was surprised Tennessee didn't get the smallmouth bass, just because, like I said, I associate the state of Tennessee with smallmouth bass fishing so much. Auburn with the warmouth, I actually kind of liked that one. Florida with the alligator gar. I'm not a Florida fan by any means, but I thought that was one of the coolest picks. I mean, alligator gar for Florida being like the Gators, just too cool. Arkansas with the hog sucker. I didn't think about that at the time, but hog sucker for Arkansas, too fitting. Kind of funny though. Literally today is the day Kentucky played Arkansas, so like the big cow Arkansas stuff, Arkansas Kentucky thing. So yeah, that's kind of funny. Not the best day for Arkansas fans, but yeah, hog sucker for Arkansas. I'm just gonna hold it like this so I don't have to keep holding it like that. So yeah, so Arkansas hogsucker, very fitting. Texas A&M is the Texas Shiner. I mean, I know it's got Texas in the name, but still Shiner. Carolina with the Fleer. So South Carolina, yeah. Fleer's not a fish I'm very familiar with. I'm guessing some sort of bluegill type of fish, or maybe like a tilapia. I'm not for sure. Not a fish I'm very familiar with. Georgia with the red-eye bass. I think that's like their native bass. So, oh, that's another. Kentucky, I could have seen easily having the spotted bass because, I mean, spotted bass are a lot of the time called Kentucky bass too. So, I could have seen Kentucky having the spotted bass. Texas with the steelhead is very strange because I didn't even know that there was much steelhead or trout or anything in Texas. And then Oklahoma having the carp. I mean, these might not all be native fish anyways, but I still thought that those were kind of surprising selections. Yeah, I don't know. Most of them, and the alligator gar is one of my favorite ones for Florida just because that is so fitting. But then, like I said, like some of these are, I don't know, I feel like there was more obvious choices. Like, oh, and did I miss it? Yeah, the Andy having the largemouth bass. I don't know. I thought a different school, maybe like Alabama, would have had the largemouth bass. Who did Alabama? Yeah, Alabama having the $1 million sunfish. I don't know. I thought some of these were interesting selections. I mean, it's really cool though. But I think if I was designing this shirt, maybe I would have done a few different selections. Okay, I had a few notes, and I've actually touched on most of them I thought of. I will say Oklahoma. And I mentioned something about not doing a native fish, and I was like, I was thinking maybe there wasn't like a cooler fitting, but it clicked on me earlier, and I just remembered it like as I cut the video. Oklahoma easily should have been a flathead catfish. I mean, I know they already did the channel, but I mean, multiple catfish would not have been an issue. But I mean, literally, when I think of Oklahoma fishing, I actually don't even think as much rod and reel. I think of the noodling and stuff. So I'm shocked they didn't just do a flathead catfish for Oklahoma. I think that would have been way more fitting because it's a native fish and just cooler, but. I mean, not the end of the world or anything, obviously, but so yeah, my three favorites. I think a flathead would have been cooler for them, and something else for Texas would have been cooler. I wish there would have been a smallmouth on here, especially like I said, for one of the Tennessee schools would have been fitting, and largemouth definitely needed to be on here, but I don't know. I think one of the Tennessee schools or something should have had a smallmouth. But my three favorites, probably the bluegill for Kentucky because I mean I'm in Kentucky and I love bluegill fishing here. Channel cat for LSU. I mean, LSU is my favorite school, and I really do like channel catfish. But outside of like the schools I like and just being in Kentucky, my favorite one's easily the Florida for the alligator gar. I mean, I guess you could have done the Florida gar too, but the alligator part, yeah. So no, alligator gar for Florida was perfect. So yeah, I did just want to mention that. And I think we've only got like one more thing. So yeah, let's show it off. It's actually the most expensive thing I think in this video by far, but just not as related to this channel. So that's why it's at the end. Okay, and the last item I got, and like I said, probably is least relevant to this channel. I did get a PS5 this year. This was like my big Christmas item this year. Yeah, I finally got one. I know it's a couple years late. I mean, it's December. I mean, no, it's January 31st of 2026. I know the PS5's been out for a while, and there's probably going to be a PS6 soon. But I finally did get one. And like I said, I know this ain't the most relevant to this channel, but it is really cool. And I mean, if there is any cool fishing video games, I mean, I've mentioned there's like 4 categories of stuff I want to do on this channel. I want to do fish tank stuff. Speaking of fish tank stuff, I actually went to PetSmart and looked at some fish stuff the day I got those Guggenbait Cincos. But yeah, out of like the 4 categories I mentioned for this channel, the fishing itself, pet fish, fish figures, and then fish gaming. Fish gaming is probably going to be the least one. I mean, right now is probably the time we do the most fishing gaming stuff because it's the winter and like there's snow and stuff, and I just can't do much fishing around here. But yeah, so if there's any cool fish games, maybe there's some big fish game that I'm not aware of that we could do on the PS5. But as of right now, literally the only game I bought for it, I got this for Christmas too, was the college football game. Literally like the only game that I really wanted on the PS5 that's not on the PS4, because I literally have still been using the PS4. I still haven't even unboxed this yet, and it's January 31st. I need to, but I don't know. Most of the games I played, just I can still play on my PS4. But I do need to unbox it. And I need, well, honestly, one of the biggest reasons is all my account stuff is still under like my dad's email, and I need to get it switched over to my email just so it's not a big headache. And yeah, so that's the main reason I haven't done it. But yeah, I did get the PS5. So if you all have any cool game recommendations, doesn't have to be fishing, but fishing, yeah, any fish related games we could do on the channel. So yeah, but that's it. Yeah, please let me know what you all want to see as far as videos or anything. Definitely want to do some fishing videos once the weather clears up. And we are going to have a big fish tank project series because, well, something kind of happened to the fish tank recently that was unfortunate, but I'm not too upset over it just because it kind of sets us up in a good spot. Well, and I'll just say it. I mean, I am a little upset about it because it kind of was out of the blue. The catfish that we had did pass, unfortunately. And I literally said, I mean, I literally said in that one video, I'm going to have to do something with it. And it literally passed like within a week or two after that. And I swear, it almost sounds like I did something to it, but I didn't. I mean, it was living in the same conditions it had for weeks. And it was literally like the last like day or two, or it was either like right when I came back from college my first week. I think it was actually like right before we went to college. And literally like earlier in the week, I literally had fed it and stuff. And that's a fish, I've got like one of those automatic feeders and stuff. So it just, but I'd fed it. And then like a few days later, I went down and it was dead. And like I said, it had been doing fine. I don't know, it just something happened. But we're going to have a big project with that. We're going to kind of restart the tank, and I've got big plans for it. I want to put plants in it. That's why I was at PetSmart. And yeah, so that's something to look forward to, is having a new fish tank series on the channel, because it's been a long time since I've had pet fish. I'm actually thinking of doing like a montage video of showing like some clips of my old pet bass and bluegill and stuff. But yeah, that's it right now. Please let me know anything you all want to see on the channel, fishing wise, whatever. I'm up for it. So yeah, that's it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I am out. Except I will show. Okay, I did forget to mention, well, I did mention it, but I didn't want to mention it here at the end again. I will show off the Bass Pro and Cabela's tanks from the places I was at, because, like I said, I love looking at the Bass Pro and Cabela's tanks, and they're definitely part of the inspiration of why I want to do native tanks. Between that and stuff like YouTube, kind of, and I guess I know like catching multi fishing, a lot of that stuff made me want to do, and like Bass Pro tanks are like the native tank I think of a lot of the time. So yeah, I will show them off. The Bass Pro one's definitely the bigger one, that has, I think, like the gar and stuff that will be shown. And that's the one in Nashville. And then the other one is the Cabela's tank in Lexington, which was a little, it's a little smaller, but it's still an awesome tank. So I'll show both of those. I think the Cabela's one might just be a singular photo, but I might have got a video of it. So we'll show them both on screen and right now. Okay, here's the tank that was at the digs. That's the one close to me. Yeah, just a really cool native tank, a cool variety of fish. I think there's some striped bass I can see in here. It looks like a long-nosed gar, some really big largemouth bass. Looks like maybe a buffalo, possibly some bowfin, or maybe sturgeon in the corner. Zoom in. Actually, I think that's just another gar. Yeah, some big bluegill. I think there was at least one or two catfish in here, or there at least has been. Yeah, I think that was a big buffalo. Yeah, some bass, bluegill, really cool tank. And now I'll show off the Bass Pro tank. I will say there was some like audio in the background that was getting picked up from like people talking and stuff, so I will just take that audio out right now. Okay, I said digs. I meant to say Cabela. This tank, yeah, there's no fish tank at my nearest digs, but I guess I said digs just because they're both kind of close. In this like same area, but yeah, I meant Cabela's. This is the Cabela's tank, and now I'll show the Bass Pro Shop tanks, and that'll be the end of the video.